Falling prices sounds like the best possible economic news. Cheaper groceries, cheaper cars, maybe even cheaper homes. But when prices keep falling across an entire economy, the result may not be greater affordability, it can mean smaller paychecks, fewer jobs, failing businesses, and debts that become harder to repay. That is called deflation. It is the strange situation where waiting for a better deal can make sense for you personally while making the economy worse for everyone collectively. And once that cycle begins, cheaper can become very expensive. First, we need to clear up a common misconception. Deflation does not mean one product goes on sale. It does not mean televisions become cheaper because factories learn to build them more efficiently. And it does not mean that gas prices fall for a few months. Deflation is when prices decline broadly across much of the economy and people begin expecting them to keep on falling. That expectation changes how people behave. Suppose you want a new laptop. It costs $1,000 today, but you are fairly confident it will cost $900 next month. Unless your current laptop is literally smoking on fire, you will probably wait. And that is a perfectly reasonable decision. Waiting 1 month to buy a laptop will not damage the economy, but now multiply that decision by millions of people. Families delay buying cars. Home buyers wait for lower prices. Businesses postpone new equipment. Companies may hold off on opening locations or hiring employees. Suddenly, everyone is starting to wait for that next markdown. And here's the part that is so easy to forget. Your spending is someone else's income. When you buy a coffee, for instance, that money does not simply disappear into the cash register. It helps pay for the barista, the store manager, the landlord, the delivery driver, and the company supplying the coffee beans. When millions of people spend less, businesses earn less. When businesses earn less, they start cutting costs. They reduce employees' hours, they freeze hiring, they cancel expansion plans. And you know that some cut wages and then others just lay off people. And when workers become nervous about their income, what do you think they do? They spend even less. And now that the cycle has started feeding itself, lower prices encourage people to delay purchases. And delayed purchases, again, reduce business revenue. Lower revenue leads to fewer jobs and weaker paychecks leads to even less spending. This is known as a deflationary spiral. Think of traffic on a highway. One driver taps the brakes. The driver behind them brakes a little bit harder. A few cars later, traffic has completely stopped, even though there may not be an accident anywhere on the road. One cautious decision causes no real problem. Millions of cautious decisions happening at the same time can bring the economy to a crawl. But falling prices are not automatically bad. In fact, some falling prices are extremely good. If televisions become cheaper because factories are more productive, consumers benefit. If farmers grow more food using fewer resources, groceries may become more affordable without anyone losing income. If new technology allows solar panels, computers, or batteries to be produced at a lower scale, society gets more for less. Falling prices can tell two completely different stories. One story is that we learned how to produce more. The other is that customers disappeared. It is the difference between a restaurant lowering prices because it found a cheaper food supplier and a restaurant lowering prices because every table is empty. From the sidewalk, both restaurants appear to be offering a deal. Behind the scenes, they are in completely different situations. And this is where deflation becomes especially dangerous. Suppose you earn $60,000 a year and you owe $300,000 on your mortgage. The prices and wages across the economy fall by 10%. Your salary drops to $54,000. Your home may also fall in value, but the bank does not reduce your mortgage balance by 10%. You still owe that same $300,000. Everything surrounding the debt just became smaller, however, the debt did not. The number on the loan has not changed, but the amount of work required to repay it has increased. It is like carrying the same backpack while the road underneath you becomes steeper. Nothing was added to the bag, but every step becomes that much harder. And economies do not adjust neatly. In theory, a 10% pay cut might not hurt much if every expense also fell by exactly 10%. But that is not usually what happens. Your salary may fall while your mortgage payment stays the same. Your rent may not drop immediately. Your student loan, car payment, and credit card balance remain exactly where they were. Some prices adjust quickly, others barely move. And fixed debts do not care that the economy is shrinking around them. This problem affects more than just households. Businesses borrow money to open stores, they buy equipment, construct factories, and hire workers. When their revenue falls, but their debt remains the same, they have to cut spending to survive. Banks see more borrowers struggling and become cautious about issuing new loans. Entrepreneurs find it harder to finance new businesses as a result, and existing companies become reluctant to expand. The economy, as a result, loses both current spending and future investment. That is why deflation can feel good at first. The damage does not always appear on the price tag. Instead of your coffee becoming more expensive, your work hours get reduced. Instead of paying more for a car, you become afraid to buy one because you are not sure whether you will have a job in 6 months. A falling price is easy to see. A business that never opens, a raise that never happens, or a worker who never gets hired is much harder to notice. The Great Depression showed this contradiction early. Prices fell, but life did not suddenly become more comfortable. Wages declined, businesses failed, employment surged. Farmers earned less for their crops while still owing money on land and equipment purchased when prices were higher. Borrowers were trying to repay old debts using smaller incomes. Products may have become cheaper, but millions of people had little or no money coming in. So a $20 item is not affordable if you have $0 to spend. The same principle applies to housing as well. A home falling from $400,000 to $300,000 sounds like wonderful news for a buyer. But what happens if banks are reluctant to approve mortgages, companies are laying off workers, and buyers are terrified of making a 30-year commitment? The house is cheaper on paper, it may not be easier to buy the house in reality. Prices matter, but income, employment, and access to credit matter much more. That is why central banks generally become concerned when broad deflation takes hold. Their first response is often to lower interest rates. Cheaper loans can make it more attractive to finance a home, purchase a car, or expand a business. Governments may also increase spending or reduce taxes in an effort to support demand. But fighting deflation can be difficult because cheaper credit does not guarantee that anyone will use it. A bank can offer an excellent interest rate, but if a business believes customers are disappearing, it may not want a loan at any price. Lower rates makes borrowing more attractive. They cannot make households feel secure or convince a business that sales will recover. You can lower the price of gasoline, you cannot force someone to drive when they believe the road ahead is closed. This is one reason why central banks usually aim for low, positive inflation instead of prices that just never move. A small amount of inflation can help spending, wages, and investment moving. And when incomes rise alongside moderate inflation, fixed debts become easier to manage over time. The loan balance stays the same while the number of dollars circulating through the economy gradually increases. Of course, that does not mean that inflation is always better. High inflation erodes purchasing power, it makes budgeting difficult, it can punish savers and place basic necessities out of reach. The goal is not endlessly rising prices, it is avoiding both extremes. An economy does not need prices to surge, it needs enough movement that people are not rewarded for endlessly postponing purchases and existing debts do not become heavier each year. So yes, cheaper can absolutely be better. Cheaper food produced through better farming is good, cheaper technology created through innovation is good, cheaper energy produced more efficiently can reduce the cost of almost everything else. But when prices are falling because incomes are shrinking, or customers that are disappearing, debts overwhelming borrowers, and everyone that just becomes afraid to spend, those lower prices are not evidence of prosperity. They are a warning light. The real question is never simply whether prices are rising or falling, it is why they are moving. Are prices becoming cheaper because we learned how to produce more, or are they becoming cheaper because fewer people can actually afford to buy them? Those two situations may look identical on a price tag, but the economies behind them are completely different. And that creates an even stranger question. If falling prices can damage an economy, why do central banks intentionally try to make your money lose a little value every single year? I just want to say I thank you for watching this video. If you got something out of it, please leave a comment below on your thoughts on deflation, inflation, and what your thoughts are as far as how this can impact the economy at large or just in your neighborhood. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.